you very much for inviting me to be able to speak here today. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the work that we're doing at a national level with regards to our coastal zone and adaptation and assessment of the vulnerability within those particular areas. Now, most of you probably recognize that Canada has the longest coastline in the world. We have about 6.5 million people currently that live within that coastal zone. This also is a significant area for trade. We currently have about $400 million worth of imports and cargo passing through most of our ports in the area. It's also a very rich area for culture and heritage around the different coastal zones. But they're dynamic, and they're dynamic from a natural perspective, they're dynamic and fluid from a political perspective, the movement and flow of trades of goods, but all of this has to occur within a landscape that's continuously changing and evolving. Beaches eroding, rivers flooding or diverting their course. So this is very much of a challenge, and we're actually trying to have some kind of management decision in that particular area. Our coastal regions are facing unique pressures, particularly with relation to climate change. These pressures include the changing sea level rise, and this resulting in changing inland flooding patterns as a result of sea level rise and freshwater flooding. Higher ocean temperatures, reduced sea ice, and as we're moving forward, we need to be able to adapt to these changes, but basing those adaptation choices based on sound scientific evidence. And one of the ways that Canada does this is through NRCan with regards to science assessment. So every about 8 years, a science assessment is conducted. So we have just completed and it actually released in Ottawa in 2 weeks. The science assessment of the most recent science assessment, the last one was done for the coastal region in 2008, and I'll be talking about some changes that have occurred since then, as well as the infrastructure report that came out in 2014. This is an extensive, rigorous peer-reviewed document, very similar, it's kind of like the Canadian IPCC for coasts. And you can see there in terms of the stats, there are 74 external reviewers. I'm a co-lead author for the East Coast Region chapter. Tony Charles is a contributing author for some components. For our section, we had 27 reviewers and had to address over 700 comments. So this document went through significant iterations. One of the things that we did find comparing to the 2008 report is that adaptation is occurring and increasing in Canada. That is not something that was the case within 2008, so that's a positive news. And some of the positive stories that we saw as examples as we looked across the coast across Canada from all different regions. In the north, using technology for smart ice apps, being able to have Indigenous communities be able to have an app so they know when it's safe to actually go in the ice, linking with some of the satellite data of ice thickness. Also within in Sept-Îles, the idea of actually having consensus to move their community and allow for natural processes to take place. And other areas, for example, in Vancouver, they adopted a formal 1 meter sea level rise in development. So these are all examples of things that didn't exist in the pre-assessment report, and we're seeing more and more of this occurring. One of the other positive things that we're seeing is, this is actually a map of the vulnerability assessment reports that have been conducted since 2008 in the East Coast region. You can see there's a significant number, and these are mostly vulnerability assessment reports. The challenge is, once we have those vulnerability assessment reports and the community knows they're vulnerable, well, what do you do about it? How do they adapt to those conditions? And that was the gap that was missing. So that's where the project that I was recently involved in, which is funded by NRCan, and it's partnered with the Atlantic Coastal Adaptation Solutions Association. And it is a partnership with St. Mary's University, Dalhousie, and UPEI, as well as private sector companies over a 2-year period. And what we were looking at is how do we actually help guide rural decision makers to choose adaptation options, a suite of options that are has the greatest potential to be non-maladaptive within their communities. And so it's a web-based tool that we actually developed. It's a criteria-based assessment that is online. It went through iterative processes in 10 different communities to come up with particular outputs, including guidebooks and fact sheets in that particular area. And so in terms of moving forward of where I'll be going, and it seems like all the slides kind of jumped all over the place, but we are continuing to work on a number of ecosystem-based adaptation options within our lab group, whether it is the new planning for restoration for Mavalette. This is in working with CD Wetlands environmental specialists, or using technology such as drone technology that you're seeing here with my current master's student, Graham Matheson, with the Department of Agriculture. How can we actually enhance the resiliency of salt marshes that occur in front of dikes to enhance their growth instead of putting down rock? And so we're working with them using drone technology to allow a different view and to provide guidance into how we can actually use more sustainable coastal protection strategies for the future.